Have you ever wondered if the decisions made by judges simply apply existing rules, or if they actually shape the very fabric of our legal landscape? In the United States legal system, courts primarily interpret law, but in doing so, they inevitably create new law, particularly at the appellate level. This dynamic relationship is central to understanding judicial power and the evolution of legal principles. The foundational principle is that courts do not initiate legal action or create laws from scratch. Instead, they respond to specific cases brought before them. When a court interprets a statute or a provision of the Constitution, that interpretation becomes binding precedent for future cases. This process is known as judicial review, where courts determine if laws comply with constitutional mandates. The very act of applying a general legal rule to a unique set of facts requires a degree of interpretation that often refines or extends the meaning of the law. This phenomenon is best understood through the doctrine of stare decisis, a Latin term meaning to stand by things decided. It mandates that courts must follow precedents established by higher courts or their own previous decisions in similar cases. When a court clarifies an ambiguous statute, resolves a conflict between laws, or applies a constitutional principle to a new technology or social context, it sets a new standard. For example, a Supreme Court ruling on free speech did not create the concept of free speech, but its interpretation shaped how that right is exercised and protected in specific circumstances, effectively establishing new legal guidelines. Consider the difference between statutory interpretation and constitutional interpretation. When courts interpret a statute, they are trying to discern the legislative intent behind a law passed by Congress or a state legislature. However, constitutional interpretation involves applying the often broad and abstract language of the Constitution to modern issues, which gives courts more latitude. This is where judicial philosophies like originalism, which focuses on the original public meaning of the text, and the living Constitution approach, which views the Constitution as adaptable to societal changes, come into play. These differing philosophies heavily influence whether a judge perceives their role as strictly interpreting existing law or actively developing it. Ultimately, the U.S. judicial system thrives on this interplay between interpretation and creation. Courts serve as vital guardians of our legal framework, ensuring consistency and fairness, while also allowing for the necessary evolution of law to meet the demands of a changing society. Understanding this dual role reveals the profound impact of judicial decisions on our daily lives and the enduring strength of our constitutional order.